What is up, YouTube? My Cowboys family here, bringing you guys the latest update on our very own Dallas Cowboys. And of course, as always, thank you so much for joining us here tonight. Take a second to hit like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, follow us on all social media at My Cowboys Family, and of course, hop in the Discord link for that's in the description box down below.
Yes, guys, kicking it off here on a Wednesday night. We did like 3 in a row. First time in a while, I guess, since the season started here. But some news and info and updates for our Cowboys, of course, as it seems to be every single day. Mike Zimmer spoke. You might have heard some things about what he said. We're going to hear some more things about what we might have heard from other places, as well as what does this mean going forward. So we'll talk about that here. That's the main focus of the stream tonight. See the defensive players, whether linebackers, defensive line, or defensive secondary. They're all interested to know what Zimmer's plans going forward. We're going to discuss it coaching-wise, some schematics, and some free agent possibilities. Not necessarily free agent players, but just a general view of what he does, or what Cowboy defensive coordinators do when they come into Dallas in the last handful of years, the last decade or so. We'll discuss that and more here as McCarthy also speaks a little bit. You see him looking over his shoulder. You never know. Maybe Zimmer's next in line. You just never know. We'll talk about that and more tonight, as well as some unfortunate news in the football world when it comes to the Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs and the parade that went down and the unfortunate situation there. So we'll discuss everything here on My Cowboys Family here. Night 3 of the week, and we have to announce the people repping the boards. And they do it with pride. And there's one guy who's got 3 out of the 4 boards into this week, with a huge, kind of an ongoing streak, you can say, of takeover from the sponsor of the week, repping that star in enemy territory, the one and only JD from DC.
Woo, thank you.
Yes.
I appreciate you, of course. And
first time as a sponsor of the week.
That's right, but certainly not his first time as the membership gifting king.
Yes. Much love to him. I think he dropped 10 on it last week, took over that board. He has, 3 out of the last 4? Kind of like Mahomes, right? So he's got 3 out of the last 4, JD from DC, on the membership gifting board. And then 26 points, Deron Bland style on the stream boss. Much love to the man, JD from DC. The other part that he has not taken over is the Cash App crown. The king of the Cash App is McLovin. And he's loving it at the top spot right now as far as the Cash App king. He is second currently overall on the board for this week, but he's still first once again. A new week. Nothing's changed. He's trying to go back-to-back like our 90s Cowboys. He's the leader right now in the Cash App crown chase right now. A lot of people dropped love, like Jason Renfro, who dropped a little love here. Actually, it was post-stream yesterday, if I recall correctly. So let me just give him a quick drop there. Boom. Jason Renfro dropped the dollar holler. It was about the Valentine's Day kisses and hit the buttons we hit.
That's right.
We got you, Jason. Appreciate you.
A lot of Valentine
Go Cowboys. And others are on that board as well, like Stanley Smith and many others, Marissa Sparkle. But McLovin, first place on the Cash App side. Look at the gifting board. You have Skeptical Fan with 2 gifted memberships, but the man, the godfather, the lunatic. He's currently the leader there with 5 on it. 5 gifted memberships yesterday. Appreciate Mr. The Lunatic, as always. Skeptical Fan as well. And JD from DC, who's right now the king of that side of things. Will he go back-to-back? Will he go 4 out of 5? We'll see. Right now, it's not JD from DC in the lead. It's Mr. The Lunatic. And then on the overall board, I told you McLovin's first in the Cash App, second on the overall board. But who's first? Star-level member.
Woo.
Former Cash App queen, Marissa Sparkle. Much love to her. She's currently still rocking the top spot in first place after she's back in that star-level membership. She had her Cash App drops. She's right there behind McLovin for the top spot. We'll see what happens as the week continues. So she's in first there. McLovin here. We got the Lunatic on the gifting board there. Thank you, everybody in the house. Now, as far as the different drops, you can drop to the Super Chat. You can drop to the thanks button. You can jump in the membership like Darren Posey, who officially is back in the membership now.
That's right.
Navy Blue Crew, appreciate you. And you can gift memberships. There's 4 different ways of dropping the love, helping the channel, helping sometimes in the gifting side, other family members, but there's also other ways to drop the love when you want to challenge for that Cash App crown. How are those 4 ways, baby?
Of course, you have the Cash App, money sign My Cowboys Family. You have the Venmo at My-Cowboys-Family, the regular PayPal link, and last but certainly not least, the Streamlabs link lets your comments show up on screen just like a Super Chat.
Damn right. And that's another way of attacking the spot. You also get, of course, on the overall board, but that also is a specific side of things. So again, appreciate everybody who's on that, who's giving the love through any of these multiple ways of doing it. And the shout-outs on the nightly, we got the Navy Blue crew, and this is silver level 2, but the top shelf membership levels, the star level, and over everything level.
That's right.
So without further ado, we got Skeptical Fan, Jason Renfro, Lincoln Kane, Andy Potched, Mary Alvarez, Marissa Sparkle, Dare Lunatic, and the top dog,
Dwayne Broussard.
Yes.
Who, by the way, you see him kicking things off officially on the live side of things, dropping a $4 DAC representation. Holler, Go Cowboys.
A DAC drop there from the top dog, Dwayne Broussard.
Always appreciate you.
What he saying?
Be coming through.
Let's Go Cowboys. Is that what I heard?
I think it might have been. This is your. I'm cueing you in. You're at the. Thank you. Oh, sorry. I don't have the same pizzazz as when you say it. So with that said, let me go ahead and start doing some shout-outs here in the chat, saying hello and hi to everybody joining us. Like, Dwayne Broussard, the top dog. Danny Berry Sports, hello. A big mahalo, hello. Aloha. Hey, Marco Seppian. We have Juan Carlos in the house. There it is, Dwayne Broussard's drop officially.
A little way through. I saw Mark in the house, like you said. Aloha.
Yeah. Brandon J, 2024, what's up? Chris Davis, hello and hi. Bruce got the Toxic Juice representing. Asmodeus, not quite first, but almost. I think Freedom First actually did beat everybody to the punch today. Revelation Journalist, what's up? Rolando Rodriguez, much love to you. Just in case, I think I shouted you out, but just in case again, Asmodeus. Hello and hi, thanks for being here. So, and yes, guys, not the happiest of news today. Obviously, some of what we have to discuss and talk about is very serious. Yeah. So, unfortunately.
And it does relate to football because of the parade for the Kansas City Chiefs today. Yeah. They were doing their celebration, their Super Bowl parade, and there was a shooting. Now, we don't know if this is a, mass murder, shooter kind of situation. Was it a fight between a couple of people? It could
maybe like gang related. Again, there's absolutely no real information.
Yeah, there's not much information the cops are letting out there. But one person is definitely dead, unfortunately. Multiple people were hurt in this Chiefs Super Bowl parade shooting. As many as 15 people were initially injured after shots were fired. At the end of the Chiefs Super Bowl parade on Wednesday, 2 people were taken into custody, and then a third later was also taken. So 3 people were taken into custody here. If you look at our video, you see one of them getting tracked down by 2 fans. Great job, great tackle, and great, and we'll see what this whole thing is about when it gets unraveled. But 2 people were taken into custody initially. Then the third a little later. They're trying to get more. I think there's more people than this involved. It sounds like it could have been a group, kind of 2 different sides fighting about something. Basically, the Kansas City Police Chief, Stacey Graves, said, quote, "I'm angry at what happened today. The people who came to this celebration should expect a safe environment." According to ABC News, fire department officials as well, 3 of the injured are in critical condition, 5 are in serious condition, 1 person has non-life-threatening injuries. The condition of the others injured are not immediately known. Kansas City Mayor Quentin Lucas said all the Chiefs players, coaches, and staff were safe and accounted for, which, again, later was confirmed by the team in a statement. But I did want to bring up a couple little updates here. There were officially, Children's Mercy Hospital confirms it was treating 12 patients from the rally today. 11 were children, and 9 of those children have gunshot wounds. Really, so yeah, that's horrific. Johnson County mother of 2 and beloved disc jockey was the person who perished in this here. Disc jockey in Kansas City was confirmed dead as the second. Again, they're saying second person killed. I don't think that is accurate. I'm hearing a lot of different reports, so we'll just say it's one person right now. But per spokesman at the hospital, none of the children at the hospital are in critical condition, which is the best news, I guess, from this. They're injured with gunshot wounds, which is traumatic enough, of course, but they're not in critical condition. All the shooting victims at the hospital that are, ages ranging between 6 years old to 15 years old are currently in stable condition, not critical and not, not even serious. So that's great news there, at least for the children there. There was, Omaha hero there, came from Omaha to celebrate the Chiefs, Super Bowl parade. Him and his daughter. He tackled one of the suspected shooters at the tragic shooting going on there in Kansas City today. He said, quote, this was Paul Contreras. He stopped this guy. He said, quote, "I didn't think about it. It's just a reaction. I didn't hesitate. I just did it. So again, thank goodness for these very brave people in the crowd.
Agree.
And helping it maybe become less than of what it would have been. We don't really know all the details. If it's some kind of, like you said, gang situation, is it some kind of just scuffle between two groups? Is it a mass shooting situation where someone went crazy?
We're obviously not Kansas City fans, but absolutely no one should have to go to any kind of Super Bowl celebration and have it come out like this.
Yeah, I mean, I was hearing stuff about there was a guy who was shot in the face that was multiple shots in him, shot in the face, and his jaw was blown off. So we'll have to wait and see what the actual details, everything is as the next day or two comes out. But we obviously hope for the best for everybody who has been involved in this thing and hopefully get through it safely.
Thomas Garrett, Pioneer, Azteca, thanks for being here. But agree, major props to those folks. Who did help.
That's why
and stepped up when the time called for it. So
that's why I posted that video, because I think that kind of stuff needs to be shown. And there's no shooting or blood or gore. It was just a guy running from the scene and them chasing him down, tackling him, staying on him until the cops got to him. The cops were also shown down the other side of the bridge or the area they were walking from. But they were taking care of the other assailant, or the other person. So they had their hands full. They got it done. Good Samaritans, heroes. At least we saw some great stuff from them today. Unfortunate stuff there at the celebration, though. So, thoughts out that direction. And again, I'm not going to get into the politics of it, whether it's mental health, whether it's a racial situation or anti-Semitic situation. We don't know. But the point is, and I'm not going to say it's guns. It's just a bad situation. It sucks, and we can debate those topics or reasons why in other channels. Not here, not tonight. It's just thoughts out that way. Hope everyone gets through this as far as they got affected by this out there as best and as soon as possible. So, I don't know if anybody has any other comments in there. We're good there. We're going to move it on.
Chris Davis said, scumbags are what they all are.
Yeah,
agree.
So, I also wanted to go into real quickly the XFL. You know that rule for the XFL that they were kicking off, kind of in a certain, I forgot what where they kicked off. It was basically a rule where you have to kick off and start at the same place, and teams would sometimes, you kind of have less impact. They both start off, like, let's say on the 35-yard line, on the other team's 35 when they're kicking off.
Yeah, something like that.
And you get one guy returning it all the way back, right? But a lot more, it was mainly to stop the two sides from colliding into each other when they're blocking, on running down the field. So they put them really close to each other, so there was really not as much collisions. The XFL, when you look at it, 92% of the kickoffs were returned, which is something you don't see anymore in the NFL, right?
Yeah.
There was 0.0 injuries, and the average starting field position was a 29-yard line, so sometimes it was worth coming and taking it out past 25. But the XFL kickoff rule is not likely to get the 24 votes it needs to get adopted by the NFL.
Yeah,
so do not expect that happening.
We did hear that some people were just kind of saying, like, well, it just kind of makes that point of the game a little bit redundant, regardless of, whether you can run it back or not, just because, again, 90% of the time, or some crazy-ass number, people are just going to let it go back, and they're just going to start at the 25. And
No, 92% of the time they were returned, the kicks. They were returned. 8% it was touchback.
Okay, my bad.
So it provides more excitement.
It
takes more excitement without the injury.
Okay.
That's the reason, but the NFL's not going to do it.
So then it doesn't make sense then. Why wouldn't the NFL want to adopt
the votes are growing every single time, but it's not there yet is the point. Not this time. Maybe next year or the year after. All right.
So, hey, as long as the support continues to build, I'm sure we'll get there eventually. And kind of similar to other things, they usually tend to do a trial year, especially for something like that. They'll probably try it out for a year,
see if they keep it.
Figure out if they want to keep it. So, like I said, I don't really see the harm. Maybe they can implement it in, like, another NFL way to kind of trial it out in a different way. Like, I don't know.
We'll see. We'll see. I don't know if they have another way.
Not really sure how you could do that another way, yeah.
But we know how it works
like maybe
in the XFL.
Or something.
Well, we know how it works in the XFL, so it's up to the NFL to promote.
No, I'm just saying, like,
level.
like maybe if they implemented it at a college level and you could see it at a college level in action, the NFL might want to have more interest. But I know college and NFL, different rules, different situations. So
yeah, we got the man Mark Hovsepian in the house, dropping that $5 on it. The $5 holler by Mark. What did the man says? He's right now right behind Stanley Smith up there on the board.
Honestly, a very true statement. I'll say it. Anyone who wants to hurt kids and people should just get the death penalty if found guilty. It makes me sick to my stomach, and the best to the families.
Yeah. We all echo that sentiment there from Mark Hovsepian. 100% right. And yeah, I mean, I'm not sure what's going on. I don't know if it was still even if it is like just two groups fighting, it's still fucked up to do it in the middle of a fucking event like this where there's obviously a lot of children and families around. On top of that, we already know like 11 children were freaking shot from this situation, shot out of the 22. And, luckily they're not critical, but Jesus, still, it's just like this is the kind of stuff that makes people just stay home at this point. Yeah, who wants to risk that stuff? So with you there, Mark's thoughts out that way. Appreciate you as always. Mr. Marco Seppian in the house. And in the meantime, that takes JD from DC, who's hanging on to 3/4 of the board, down to 17 points on the stream boss. That's in distance there, in range. So I did want to bring up a little information here about a coach that I, of course, would love to have in Dallas. And I think Marco Seppian would love him too. And you know who I'm going to say, guys, is Mr. Bill Belichick. Yes, definitely over McCarthy. We'll see what happens after this year since Belichick's not coaching, but we talked about kind of the discussions about some of these players that they feel maybe Belichick is too hard of a coach and, kind of wants more control. But the truth is, that may be the situation. It may be that he's just way too stubborn. I don't know. I don't mind him on this team, but when you look at there's a forthcoming documentary with Tom Brady making an interesting admission about his departure from the Patriots.
All right.
And his relationship with Bill Belichick. Tom Brady said, quote, "I wasn't going to sign another contract in New England, even if I wanted to play until I was 50. Based on how things had gone, I wasn't going to sign up for more of it." Again, just basically Brady implying there you just can't pay him enough money to play for Belichick at the end of his career. Whatever the reasons, I don't know what it was, but even Brady was like, and he's a competitor, he was like, this is too much. So I don't know. We'll have to wait and see how this kind of looks in Dallas if he ever does come to Dallas, next year as an example.
I guess we'll worry about that, 15, 20 years into Dak's career. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
First of all,
maybe that's what Dak needs right now.
Yeah. Belichick, even if he does come into the building, 5 years max.
3 years maybe,
That's what I'm trying to say. Like, how long do you actually expect to have Belichick? Too, we don't really know what the clash was, right? Like, we don't really know what the problem was between him and Belichick.
You had the Aaron Rodgers-McCarthy thing, then we have Brady and Belichick.
But we've also heard, at the end of the day, that a big part of the way that things ran over in New England was it's Belichick's way or you're done. So, just saying. Marco Seppian said Brady was sick of not getting any help on offense. Hey, not just offense, but offensive line. Like, the philosophy within the building was never going to be one that was going to actually kind of protect him in a more physical way. Like,
was it a Belichick thing, though?
That's
the thing. Was Belichick saying we don't need any more offensive help, or was it the organization?
He ran things.
No, was it Kraft, though? Kraft could have been like, we're good there. I mean, I don't know. It's a good point because he was the GM as well, kind of running the show there. So that's something we'll have to wait and see. Listen, we need that good kick in the ass. And Zimmer is kind of a half kick in the ass, which is better than nothing, would have been any other choice, I think, for the Cowboys when it comes to defensive coordinator. But as a head coach, we thought this past year was McCarthy's last straw. Obviously, he had one more under last straw. We'll see now. But I just want to throw that out there. Now, fresh off his Super Bowl victory as the defensive coordinator for the Chiefs, defensive coordinator Steve Spagnuolo signed a contract extension. He's not looking to be a head coach. He just wants extension after extension. He's stacking the money right there. Well-deserved, of course. Not going to go anywhere else. They're staying together. This is not just about players staying together. It's also about coaches staying together, And so they're doing it there another year to next year. They're doing it again with the contract extension. The Washington Commanders now, of course, with Dan Quinn at the helm as the head coach, hiring some more players. Some guys you may know. They're pulling the Mike McCarthy, the Cowboy kind of blueprint here. First the Eagles, now the Washington Commanders. Commanders are hiring Anthony Lynn, former head coach, to their offensive staff. Remember, he was the former Chargers head coach. Most recently was in San Francisco. Another important addition for Dan Quinn's staff, not really announcing what he's going to be doing. Then another addition to Washington's defensive side of things here. Another 49ers assistant coach signing to the Commanders. San Francisco's defensive line coach, Darryl Tapp. Similar to what they got with Sheriff Floyd. but they're just bringing another guy from the Niners who's an assistant there, doing the same thing Floyd did. He played defensive end and linebacker for Washington in 2013 in his 12 NFL years he played in the NFL. Yeah. So he's familiar with Washington a little bit, and he has taken over as the Commanders' defensive line coach. So he went from defensive assistant line coach, all right, in San Francisco to the DURDE position now, right, which is defensive line coach, with Sheriff Floyd going from that same assistant defensive line spot in Dallas to with Quinn's team, right, in Washington as the now defensive line assistant to this former defensive line assistant, Darryl Tapp. So they'll be tapping him. Anyway, my point is they're building their guys off of names they know, former players, guys that are in the NFL with teams like the Niners, and guys like Quinn taking guys from his own team that he felt good with and comfortable with. All of that will immediately improve Washington, no matter what. I mean, that's just the way it goes. When it comes to the Washington coaches and staff they had in place before that. But is that the best creative thing? Probably not. Probably not. I don't think that's. I mean, that's just for now a thing more than a future thing. It looks like for Dan Quinn, but it does feel a little bit Mike McCarthy-ish there by building with other head coaches as part of your staff, which is what McCarthy did with a lot of his guys. So when you look at the Niners now, they're getting guys plucked away from their defense, right? Yeah. Well, guess what? As far as coaching, big name here. 49ers head coach Kyle Shanahan announced today he had talked with their defensive coordinator, Steve Wilks, and confirmed he fired him.
Oh,
yeah, that's pretty major there because again, I'm not sure the Cowboys' hiring process will go. And we're in need of a defensive line coach, and we need to replace DURDE. We need a guy who's going to be replacing Joe Witt Jr., who's second in command. But Steve Wilks has been highly rated throughout his career. And right now it's rare that you see an opportunity for a team like the Cowboys to be able to fill out their staff and snag a top guy. A defensive coordinator can go down as a passing game coordinator. He can come in here and be the second in command for Dallas and one of the NFL's top defensive systems. He's coming from one of the best to another one of the best, and he already knows what he's doing. So here's the thing. If you're going to look at the negative about Steve Wilks, the biggest negative is the Niners were always vulnerable against the run. Okay? Like we are, right? We couldn't stop the run. But we're not asking him to be defensive coordinator. You know what he was great at, baby? Stopping the pass. And Zimmer is a great pass defensive coordinator as well. Here's what I'm trying. That would fit good in there as an AB as far as pass coordinated minds, right? So my point is this. The Niners were top 5 versus the pass rush. Whether it was raw EPA or just straight up yardage, whatever it was. He's fundamental soundness in all three phases of a pass attempt, all right? Whether it's a pass rush, whether it's the coverage, whether it's the scheme. Wilks is a master of this. Zimmer is a master. To me, you bring in Wilks and bring him in there as he could be your passing, he could be the guy in front of Al Harris, let's say, okay? Al Harris stays where he's at, whatever it may be. You move in Wilks there, and he's the pass game coordinator. He's basically Joe Witt Jr. That's kind of my thought. I would look into this if you're the Cowboys. If you're smart, Zimmer, McCarthy, the Joneses, go out there and grab Steve Wilks ASAP. Marco Seppian saying, hold up, I'm dropping that $5 on it. Woo. The $5 high by the man market. He does jump some people. Now, what did he have to say with that $5 drop? And taking JD from DC down to Roger Staubach, 12 points.
He said, we need to make serious upgrades at the D-line. Other than an up-and-down tank, name one other defensive lineman that we've developed in the past 8 years. Drafts and development sucks.
I think we need to go free agent when we go inside. Because anyone you're going to draft is going to take 2 or 3 years to see the most.
We do not have the luxury of waiting any longer.
I agree with you, Mark.
That's it.
Mark is preaching to the choir because we agree 100% with him. It's just, what are the Cowboys doing to do something about that? Mozzie Smith and then lose 20 and then lose 35 pounds. That ain't the right move there.
And I'm also going to throw this out there because I know that the immediate thought and desire is, all right, let's just kind of like blow everything up. Let's try to move on from some of these guys. But based off of other moves that the Cowboys are making, just from like a coaching perspective and things like that, if you think of it from the mentality of we're trying to go at it this one last year in a big way, I think some consistency defensively plays a big part in that, which means guys like Tank will be staying.
No, we'll have to look into that. We'll see if Zimmer likes that move.
Mindset. That's what I'm saying.
Either way, whatever you do with that $10 million you get from Tank, you got to add it to the $20 you're paying in dead money. And if you get a bigger player, then you're going to be paying like $40 million to a guy you could have been paying $30 million to, right?
And speaking of mindset, you can see that Jason Renfro said, "Hold up, let me change somebody's mind." Because guess what? He just took over the stream boss.
The boss
$12 holiday
of the stream for Jason Renfro. Much love with the Roger Staubach drop. What did he say?
Go Cowboys.
Oh, Cowboys. And I know he's about I think he's like 3 or 4 back on third place right now, right behind, or second place, right behind McLovin on the overall board. Gotta shout that out.
So, by the way, Grimbot, what's up? Mike Aldana, thanks for being here. Thomas Garrett said too much of a good opportunity for the Joneses as far as Wilkes trying to make that move. Mike Aldana said Kyle Shanahan likes passing the money or passing the buck when he knows that it's his fault.
Yeah.
So instead of putting it on him, he's firing Wilkes.
Well, let me say this though. Here's the thing: the defense tried to do it. I think the defense did a good job. For some reason, they're blaming him for the last drive or whatever. Listen, whatever. The guy has always put together a good defense with Wilkes. He's coming there for Saleh.
Yeah, and who's the guy that got hurt on the sideline again? Jumping around?
Dre Greenlaw.
Yeah, whoever replaced him, unfortunately, blew chunks pretty much the rest of the game. So I'm just saying, like, there's a lot of factors that go into everything that happens.
He's
basically just put it on one thing, but there's a lot of other coaching decisions that you still had to make between then and there.
Steve Wilkes,
I feel like impacted the game a little.
Steve Wilkes is the scapegoat, and that's fine. This could be something the Cowboys can fall into our lap. All I'm trying to say is this simple thing:
someone being forced to fall on the sword, maybe it could be someone else's opportunity.
Well, here's the thing, though. So if you're thinking about replacing Joe Witt Jr.'s spot, this is the perfect guy to go with, who's a specialist of defensive coverage, pass coverage, defensive pass defense. This guy is one of the best. We're stopping the run, not that great as far as the personnel and the defensive players, the defensive scheme he ran. But if he's a pass game coordinator and defensive backs coach, which is what Joe Witt Jr. was, then wouldn't that make sense that he'd be a perfect fit? Now, if he gets a defensive coordinator job somewhere else, then I guess go take it. But to be second in command in Dallas with this defense already at the plate and Zimmer as your coach, I don't know. That's a pretty good deal there for Steve Wilkes. We hope the Cowboys' front office, Jerry Jones, Stephen Jones, McCarthy, and, of course, Zimmer himself, find this to be a good fit. I think it would be a great fit. Again, run defense not great, but pass defense is top 5 guys. Pretty much the whole time he was the coordinator. I think the last 2-3 years with them. So I feel good about having someone like Steve Wilkes being brought in here. And what about other guys? Because again, I kind of, I wanted to talk about like Adam DURDE, who actually he went to Seattle as a defensive coordinator. We know what that's what happened there. But there's word before this morning's press conference that the Cowboys defensive coordinator of choice was really between Mike Zimmer or Adam DURDE, and it seems Zimmer may have beaten him out. But he was very popular as far as an in-house candidate. More than we may believe. I remember I talked about this a couple of days before they announced Zimmer. But I said the Cowboys like him a lot more than people understand. And he was like a 2, like a 1A. Like he was like the 1B to Zimmer being the 1A. And, I know there's some reports out there kind of saying it came down to the last 2. I forgot who said this, but I know we have a quote from somebody who basically said how this thing broke down.
If it came down to the last 2, Mike Zimmer and Adam DURDE. Adam DURDE, I can say that confidently. He made a big impression during his interviews. He was on the edge for the Seahawks defensive coordinator position, and you see how quickly that developed as soon as Zimmer was announced on Thursday night. We're talking Friday morning, 11 a.m., Seahawks defensive coordinator is when he was getting announced.
That's true.
That's still not finalized, so kind of wait on that for this week. But DURDE impressed a lot of people in the interviews. It seems like he has a lot to bring from a scheme standpoint as well.
So there you go. Just a little background on what the thought process was for the front office and, what was going to be the next step there for the Cowboys. Now,
look, wish him the best. Obviously, good for him. He obviously learned a lot under Dan Quinn.
Yeah. So, again, that's how kind of things, I guess you can say, started up for the situation. Look, here's what I'm going to say when it comes to Zimmer, and let's throw Zimmer up on the board here because he is now the main topic for the rest of the night of our stream tonight. Again, tomorrow. Definitely Friday. We're going to miss Friday, guys. Tomorrow may be one of those days that's up in the air. We'll see about the news, and we'll see about if we're able to move things around. But, hey, the news is the way it is right now, and we love to discuss it with you guys here on the Nightly as often as possible. So, we're bringing it all here, and this is we're not here to bullcrap you guys or give you fake hopes. We're here to tell you the truth. So, first and foremost, Zimmer, we know the situation with Zimmer. And, he came in this morning, he was in the building, but the first thought I had was, why didn't he, we talk about other assistants that we need to fill spots for here, whether it is defensive line coach, like where Aiden Dirty left, defensive line assistant coach, which was Sheriff Floyd, who went to the Washington Commanders, or Joe Witt Jr., who also is the defensive pass game coordinator and defensive backs coach. He went also with Dan Quinn to the Commanders. So what was the issue with specifically Mike Zimmer? Why didn't he want to try to keep, and why did they allow Sheriff Floyd to leave? Why isn't there that much of an outcry for bringing him back? And the main reason is this: Sheriff Floyd, who coached us on the defensive line, assistant coach last year, helping Adam Dirty. He was a former first-round pick of the Vikings in 2023. And his career prematurely ended. Why? He had a major knee injury. He played only 44 games in 4 years. I think 2000 or 2019. He was it was a little bit more farther back. It wasn't that recent. He was not in 2023 a first round, but he was a former first round pick of the Vikings. He only played 44 games in 4 years. And then you had hard-nosed coach Mike Zimmer, who's always been blunt when it comes to everyone, especially to the media, and he was blunt about Floyd's knee injury. Zimmer was quoted in 2016 saying that he's, quote, used to Floyd being on the injury report, and that the banged-up lineman was always, quote, kind of out of sight, out of mind. So basically Zimmer's saying, listen, I've never even seen this guy too much, enough, in his career, to warrant him a first-round pick, and just not the guy they thought. They didn't like his work ethic. They didn't like the fact that he was always injured. I don't know. In response, though, Sheriff Floyd accused Zimmer of slandering his name in an Instagram post. The post included screenshots of quotes that Zimmer made about Sheriff Floyd during his injury. And again, per himself, Sheriff Floyd, Zimmer's comments were made days before he underwent arthroscopic knee surgery in 2016. So a very rocky relationship between them. That's why there was no interest in bringing him into Dallas, and bringing him, well, not bringing him in, but keeping him in Dallas as a defensive line coach in any way. Complications from this operation in his knee caused permanent nerve and muscle damage, which ultimately is what ended Sheriff Floyd's playing career. It's unknown if Mike Zimmer knew about Floyd's nerve damage at the time of his comments, but 2 months later, Zimmer was asked why Floyd landed on injury reserve, and he gave another direct answer. He said, quote, we didn't think it would be this long, to be honest with you. We didn't think it was going to be like 6 years worth of hurt, end quote. Ow. So, again, we don't know if Zimmer and Floyd have buried...
That's kind of quite the statement.
We don't know if they buried the hatchet. Maybe they are just not on good enough terms to work together. Past friction, it makes no surprise that Floyd's like, I'm out of here as soon as he heard Zimmer's name being the coach coming in. He's like, I'm out of here. I'm going to Washington. And that was it. The Cowboys did not block Floyd's move, kind of backs up that mindset. I'm going to leave it at that. I just wanted to make that point that Sheriff Floyd, because of the bluntness of Mike Zimmer, I mean, so blunt to the point of offensive, you can say, right? To his insensitive to his injury, right? Either way, that's the kind of coach you're getting with Zimmer. Some guys can handle it, some guys cannot, and I understand why Sheriff Floyd does not like it. And I understand why he moved on. I also understand why he's not staying in Dallas, why Zimmer is not keeping him in Dallas as well. So they had their friction. Don't know if they buried the hatchet, but definitely a reason why Sheriff Floyd said, I'm heading for Z Hills. And he left Dallas as fast as he could. Now, we do have a drop from the man, Marco Sapien, taking 3 points off the board of Jason Renford at 97 because he's got Osa Odigizua on his mind. Marco Sapien dropping that $3 Brandon Cooks drop. What did he say?
He said... Well, Zim will bring discipline, but is not a savior. I thought we read that one already.
Oh, I didn't think we did. That one just came up when we were just speaking.
Okay. I could have sworn I read that one already. Maybe I'm just running inside my head. But yeah, I do have to kind of agree with Mark Hosepian here. Let's remind ourselves, guys, there is no savior coming to Dallas. The only person who's going to save us here in Dallas is ourselves, right? The players, the coaches, they just have to actually do their jobs and decide to overcome a lot of the challenges that are put in front of them. And I know, like, deciding, like, oh, you just have to decide it. Like, obviously not. They have to work at it.
This is some of the biggest challenges right there.
But we know, again, one of the biggest things that was clearly evident was the lack of mental fortitude on this team. So, yeah, part of it is just mentally deciding to actually do that shit. Anyway, back to you, baby. Sorry.
Listen, here's the thing. Here's the deal. He came in today, Zimmer. Okay, I kind of broke down a little bit. He's definitely not the savior, so I agree with Mark on that. But he is the best we can get from the guys they interviewed. He's the best choice, I think. And also, we don't know what's going to happen next year. So for a one-year deal with a defense that's kind of already kind of established, can he tweak it up a little bit, allowed by the Joneses, to allow him to get a couple guys he may need? That's a big question. Jerry said all in. We'll believe that when I see that, right?
Agreed.
So Zimmer was in the building today for his press conference. And, it ended up starting off at 3 o'clock Eastern, 2 o'clock Central. The Cowboys have a couple spots to fill now. Remember, we talked about Andre Patterson not coming from the Giants. His right-hand man would have been our right-hand man in Dallas, but they blocked it, right? So we're going to talk about two moves the Cowboys kind of stayed with for our Cowboys going into 2024. What did Mark Hosepian have to say? With that 5 on it, taking Jason Renfro for 92 Dorrance Armstrong points. What did Mark say, baby?
Because he sucked. Who have we developed? Mozzie, Fehoko, Williams, Ridgeway, Golson, Bohanna, Gallimore, Anai, Osa, and his 9 sacks over 3 seasons?
Yeah, I don't know why.
Sucks.
The issue for us, I would say more interior than on the rush side of things. We've gotten some real low-budget, low-level, non-inspiring interior defensive linemen.
Yeah.
And I truly believe, Mark, I don't know, I can't explain the inner workings of why this is the case. I know some of it is because it takes years for a defensive tackle to get to their top spot there. I understand that's a major reason why the Cowboys would not want to draft someone that high. They drafted Mozzie. That's the only guy they drafted inside in years and years, and I hope that wasn't a bust for, of course it was year one bust, but it'll be a future bust. We'll see. An all-around career bust. We'll see. But my issue is that I truly think the front office wants splashier, quicker, faster defenses. They don't want the nose tackle, the big fat guy in the middle to take on 2 blocks and not get any stats. You got to pay him $3 million instead of the $1 million that they currently pay that position. They want to save $2 million on the fucking defensive tackle spot to get 2 solid guys. You pay $6 million for them out the door. You are set. You stop the run if they're scary. And the Cowboys, the front office says that's too much. We want to spend $1 million to $1.2 million on Hankins, which is good. He's good, but he's got his issues as far as getting injured a little bit. We could upgrade that position if we really wanted to with 2 guys. And Mozzie, 330 at rookie, bring him down to, because he can't get off the line of scrimmage fast, we drop him to 295. That's clown show shit to me. We'll see what Zimmer wants to do. I don't know if it's going to change. I don't know if he's allowed to change. Let's be honest, right?
Yeah. So we don't know what the limitations are imposed upon him in Dallas.
Well, by that clown show. So, look, all he can do is work with what he's given. And right now, he had a discussion. So Mike Zimmer did have a press conference. And I'm going to start off with our defensive coordinator, our defensive positions that are open right now. Because when he was in the building today, Mike Zimmer, you know who else was in the building?
Who?
Al Harris, who we really like here in Dallas as far as staying with the squad. He's obviously very good when it comes to teaching technique. And we've talked about the coaching options. You see him at the upper left of your screen. It's Al Harris. Basically, he's our cornerbacks coach, but he's really a technique teacher. He hasn't been upgraded yet to the Joe Witt passing game coordinator. That's why I'm hoping someone like Steve Wilkes comes in and can do that job. You know what I'm saying? That would be perfect. But my point is, Al Harris was in the building as well. Mm-hmm. Al Harris was there working, not packing up. So that already was good news before this press conference started, that Al Harris was staying in town. We got another $5 holler.
Woo!
Let me love that. What did the man say, Mr. Mark Hosepian, dropping Jason Renfro, by the way, to 87 Jake Ferguson points.
He's the best of what was there, but that's like trying to brag about banging a 300-pound toothless gal. The other gal's being 350 pounds and toothless. So,
what do you think, baby? I see his point, but who else are you going to bring in a 1-year deal?
I was going to say, I mean, it's either
or 1 year
Toothy McTootherson over here, or going home alone. I guess is the equivalent of this scenario, right? So, I mean, if you don't want to go home alone, I guess you're going to have to take what you got
Mike
home
Zimmer
with you.
Again, I got to reiterate this on a 1-year kind of dead.
That makes sense, Mark.
Dead coach. I know it makes sense to me. It makes sense to me. But on a coaching situation when you have this kind of dead end spot for any coach who takes over, this is a great 1-year opportunity for him, and also a great, I guess you could say, a guy who kind of knows what's going on already, experienced defensive veteran coach. It's going to be an asshole. It's going to be the opposite of Dan Quinn. Personally, that's what we need. And again, for a 1 year, not for a 5-year deal or a 10-year deal or go on and being like our next savior. No. Just for now. For 1 year.
Well, I had to hit up a few comments here in the chat because Mark, this is funny. So Mike Aldana said the clown show doesn't want any more fat guys. That's why McCarthy's here. Pillsbury Doughboy. Grimbot said Dak chokes it because he's scared of his image. He's Mr. Perfect on the sidelines. Chris Davis said Dan Quinn did that shit to Mozzie. You've got to give me another year. As Mother said, it didn't take Ndamukong Suh years. He just came in hitting the ground running.
Well, I want to say Ndamukong Suh, Vita Vea, Aaron Donald. These guys are the very few names you can say came in the league and were dominating year one. There's like 1.5% of the freaking defensive tackles drafted in the first round, or any round, perform right away. Very, very, very few. So let's keep that in mind too.
So, and shout out to you, Bobby Garrett, as well. By the way, let me take a quick little commercial break here to remind everyone to hit like, subscribe, hit the bell.
Yep.
Follow us anywhere and everywhere at MyCowboysFamily. Hop in the Discord. Links down below. Back to you.
Yep, awesome. Now, let's finish up what Zimmer was... We'll start off what Zimmer was saying, right? Because he was talking about... And this was kind of later on in the press conference. Yeah. I wanted to address this because we talked about Sharrett Floyd. We talked about Adam Dirty. So I'll talk about the assistants we got to fill some spots in here with, right?
Okay.
Cowboys have a couple spots to fill. I already named all three. Defensive line coach, defense assistant line coach, and passing game coordinator / defensive backs coach, which was Joe Witt Jr. I think Steve Wilkes goes in there perfectly. He's been fired by the Niners, so let's see what happens. But we know two guys that are not going anywhere and staying in Dallas, okay? Our newest defensive the head of the defense here in Zimmer said that he and head coach Mike McCarthy had a conversation about defensive backs coach Al Harris, upper left, and their intention to keep him on the staff under Zimmer. McCarthy, here's what Zimmer said, quote, Mike McCarthy has made the decision that these guys are going to be here. So we had a good conversation that he's going to still be with us, and I'm excited to work with him. I've heard a lot of great things about the work that he does, and really all the guys here, end quote. That just tells me McCarthy forcing him to keep these guys, along with the Joneses, probably. You know, like the Joneses saying, hey, Mike, we're keeping Al Harris. You know, we're keeping this guy. That's not an option. So when McCarthy talks to him, Zimmer, he's like, listen, we're keeping Al Harris. I'm just letting you know that's not. And I don't know if that's a McCarthy call or if that's a Jerry Jones call. Because remember, Jerry Jones blocked it. They blocked this.
In a lot of ways, I'm going to, and this is just me throwing my opinion out there. I'm going to assume it was a partial McCarthy call just because of the fact, again, we're going down to his last year. McCarthy already seemed to have a lot of control and creative decision-making when it came to at least his staff. You know, like in that side of things, the Cowboys actually, even from the jump, basically just gave him carte blanche outside of what you insist is, hey, we need to keep Kellen Moore in the building, while I personally still feel that McCarthy just did not want to rock the boat with that initial change at first. Maybe. That's all.
But now we go to offense. And again, for a second, this was not announced necessarily by Zimmer. I'm pretty sure McCarthy brought this up, but this is one of McCarthy's guys. You can say a guy that's there for McCarthy the last couple of years. Wide receiver coach Robert Prince Jr., the only guy with his contract expiring.
Yeah,
could have just let it go and he's gone. It's been confirmed that he's expected to be back on the staff in 2024 after entering the offseason not under contract. Now, this comes after Prince led a receiver room that he helped coach, as in CeeDee Lamb and having this franchise-setting season in 2023. Although what I've heard, it was more like T.Y. Hilton helped him more than Robert Prince. Either way, Robert Prince, who was a friend of Kellen Moore, and that's why he got that job in the first place, a wide receiver coach, is staying as a Cowboy wide receiver coach in 2024. Nothing to do with Zimmer, just another coaching move there by the front office or by Mike McCarthy, who's keeping him in town. So Mike Zimmer, he sees an opportunity in Dallas, okay, after a very brief 2-year hiatus. It's been 3 years since Zimmer, actually 3 years since the last time he was in the NFL as a head coach for the Vikings. He spent time away, which included being a consultant for Jackson State and Colorado, both under Deion Sanders. Got the Cowboy connection.
Yeah.
Right? And again, most of this time, he said he spent it on the phone with Coach Primetime, and also continued to study the game alongside a good friend and fellow former NFL head coach, Marvin Lewis, which we know we gave him a coaching opportunity here as a head coach as far as an interview way back when we in 2020 when we had McCarthy come in. So just want to give you a little background on Zimmer and his what he did the last 2 years, 3 years out of coaching, working with Primetime with Jackson State and Colorado, working with Marvin Lewis, studying the game still from a little bit of a distance. He did something else that's family, like here in MCF, family. Speaking of family, you got Marco Seppian dropping another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on it.
Woo.
And he is moving up this board quick like, what did the man say?
Mozzie was a number one pick at a position of great need and ended up playing only 20% of the snaps before Hankins was injured. He showed nothing when he played against even backups.
Agree. It was embarrassing. Fucking embarrassing, brother. I don't know what happened. And again, he was late. A lot of people are saying that when Mozzie is, again, you see it on video, you see it on tape, on film. When he's late off the snap and he's kind of late, he's not going to have that burst. That's one of the issues we knew he had. He didn't have that burst. He didn't really get that burst. They figured, hey, we can make him lose a little weight. He'll get that burst back, that quicker off the ball reaction. Didn't work. So the problem is, even though when you could see it when he was fatter or less or lost a little weight, whenever he got off the ball quickly, he was he was good. Mark, he was good. But the 25% of the time, that's not enough. When 75% of the time, he's getting off the ball slow. And I don't care if he's small or big, fast or slow. He gets off the ball slow. That's the issue with Mozzie. So I don't know what Zimmer can bring to the table. We're going to have to bring in 2 new defensive line coaches here. They better take a look at what they can do. They bring a guy specialist for the interior there. We'll have to wait and see. But I'm with you, Mark. Trust me. I am with you. And I also am with the fact I got to remind everybody that Jason Renfro's down at Jason went 82 points after that drop right there. When I get a chance, I'm going to jump into the leaderboard and correct that. Maybe hit up a comment or two out there as well. What's your thoughts, though, on Mark's comment, I guess you can say, as I fix the leaderboard?
I mean, we always knew going into picking a guy at Mozzie's position that
it's going to be a little bit of work.
It was always going to be a delayed gratification type of thing.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
Whether we want to, whether we say that and do that are two different things, because the Cowboys obviously did expect Mozzie to do more than he did based off of the way that, we kind of tried to work him in there at certain points in the season.
We had to play more than we probably...
That's what I'm trying to say. Like, we kept kind of trying to see if something would happen there. Like you said, based on the fact that we had him try to slim down and speed up. The Cowboys were trying something there, or at least the defense, I should say, was trying
Dan
something
Quinn?
there.
Interesting.
I don't think it worked, clearly, and probably this set back his development, if anything. But yeah, it was unfortunate that we ended up having to depend on Hankins to basically carry that full load, because Mozzie could barely even help Hankins in a lot of ways.
When Hankins was out, Mozzie did not step up for those 3 games.
Yeah,
so that was a big, and that was at the end of the year. It wasn't in the beginning of the year. It would be different if it was early in the season. Later in the year, he's got to start showing something. He showed less than he did in the beginning of the season.
Exactly.
And he was also thinner, which is like 2 strikes. So hopefully,
what are you supposed to do in that
this offseason,
right?
baby, that's why I'm stressing. I'm watching who is the defensive line coach going to be hired. We know he tried to go for it. Did not happen. We'll see what the other option is. But if you're going to get like an assistant coach in there, at least make sure he's a specialist to the interior run-stopping defensive line. We need somebody who could really do something better in that interior so we don't get these damn teams running all over us and then making the linebackers getting blocked out of the play because because whoever is a nose tackle or one tech is getting pushed back 5 yards. You cannot have that happen. And Mozzie was having that happen to him most of the time. 75% of the season when he was in there, that's what was happening to him. That's unacceptable. So, what is Zimmer going to do? We don't know yet about that, but I will say some free agent stuff in a minute. So stay tuned, Mark. You're not going to want to miss this. And it's not going to be players. It's more what happens when we get a new defensive coordinator. But here's the deal. What else did he do away from football? Outside of studying the football I just talked about with you guys, with a lot of Deion Sanders. Again, remember, he coached Deion Sanders in Dallas during the Super Bowl year there. His only Super Bowl season there with the Cowboys, the second year he was with us. But more importantly for him, he spent time away from football by being with his family after, welcoming some more grandkids into his family. Unfortunately, in 2022, he did lose a son unexpectedly.
Oh,
so it was
horrible.
Yeah, it was clear that family obviously means a lot to him. He's 67 years old right now, Zimmer. So being back in Dallas not only allows him to be closer to his family, but also allows him to reunite with people in the business that he considers family at the end of the day. And you can say the Joneses, you can say some other people in the facility that know him already, some players, coaches that know him. I'm just saying, he has already, he has a welcoming family atmosphere in Dallas.
And
been there 13 years,
You
of
know
course,
for
right?
a fact that we here in Dallas are absolutely all about that family atmosphere, especially from if you're one of the Joneses guys, you're one of their guys.
Yeah.
So
and that's what Zimmer's been.
He's looking forward to and maybe missed a little bit of that culture in a way, right?
Yeah. I mean,
so,
you got to remember, he was away. He can pick and choose where he wants to kind of go. Yes. He's not the only choice. Is like he kind of. I think he kind of felt
otherwise.
Yeah, he immediately when he heard the defensive coordinator job came open, we told you guys here that night, that you heard. I said Mike Zimmer said he's immediately interested in this job, and it's because of family. It's because of the people he knows there, and again, losing a son in between changes you in that sense, and that would he understands that he wants to continue coaching, but on his terms, right? In areas where, that he can still be close to his family. I think this is one of the big reasons why he chose Dallas, on top of knowing people there like almost family. And I think the Joneses are some of those people too. I mean, Zimmer might have more say in things in some ways than Mike McCarthy. I'm just being real.
But straight from Zimmer himself, right?
Time off. What happened?
He said, I probably needed a little time off just because of some of the things happening with family, and that was important to me. To take some time to help the rest of my family in some of those situations too. I knew right away Dallas was the right opportunity. There was another club talking to me. This is where I wanted to come. I've always loved Dallas, and I've always loved the Cowboys. I always kind of hoped I'd be back in Dallas. I wanted to be somewhere where I knew people and trusted people. And now remember, we're talking about Mike Zimmer and his comments. So when he's referencing Mike, he's talking about Mike McCarthy, right? So Mike McCarthy and I had some great conversations on the phone. We had some great conversations since I've been here, and I've always been comfortable with Steven and Jerry. They've been outstanding to my family ever since I was here way back when. There was never a question of whether or not I wanted to be here at all. I probably couldn't think of the 32 teams, one that I really wanted to be at more than here.
That's high praise. He was, to me,
his number one choice.
I wouldn't be surprised if even last year he was expecting Dan Quinn to move on and him ready to pounce at that opportunity. Although I know it was close to when his son passed, so maybe he needed this extra year. But Quinn now being gone, and now him wanting to back into the coaching realm.
Look,
this is really one of the best situations for Mike Zimmer.
I do truly believe in the timing of things, right? Because let's say that opportunity had opened up last year. Zimmer certainly would not have been the guy, like you said, because of his personal life situations. Yeah. Or let's say it went the other way. Let's say he took the job and based on the timing of whatever it is that happened with him, then whatever it is that happened, and he obviously had to step away from football for a while. Yeah. Either way, I don't think it would have ended up in a good spot for anyone, and he clearly needed to be with his family then. Yeah. So
things worked out, I guess, as best as could, considering the situation. Now, for McCarthy, Mike McCarthy, now he also spoke today. He was at the press. If you look at our thumbnail, you can see him. I think Mike McCarthy's looking to be ready for him to leapfrog him for that coaching spot if he fails this year. I don't say that's going to be the case yet. I think that's going to be maybe more of a whoever comes over and takes in is going to be the guy kind of not clearing house, but kind of making the decision on whether or not, who's the defensive coordinator. And, hey, I don't think it's going to be Mike Zimmer, but who knows? Who knows? With Jerry and Steven, you never know. So, Mike McCarthy, what did he have to say about this? Because, listen, he had the opportunity to welcome in, I guess you could say, a former NFC North friend, a trusted confidant that was, again, has a lot of experience in coaching, which is a huge thing. We know in McCarthy's realm, he's always got these either almost head coaches or former head coaches. You know what I'm saying? So he's doing it again here with Zimmer. And again, like I said, it makes sense for Zimmer, but it makes sense for McCarthy and the Cowboys right now. McCarthy had his 2 cents about this. What did he say?
We kind of had 2 buckets we looked at as far as individuals who were tied to the existing defense. And then looking at former head coaches was something, which points to my history is a preference I feel is very important. Then having the chance to sit down and talk to Mike, I just think it's an incredible fit for us. There are only so many minutes, so many hours in the day. As a head coach, you're responsible for everything, but the reality is you can't be everywhere. I think the importance of the leadership role on defense, outside of scheme, calling games and coaching players, there is so much more that goes on as far as assistant coaches, and I think it's important. Mike's experience and success that he's had at every level is what makes this a great fit. So, again, so when you kind of go roll it back a little bit, remember how you mentioned earlier, Dan Quinn is trying to almost pull a McCarthy, bringing in all these, former head coaches and former coaches and things like that to continue on in his scheming. It sounds like McCarthy, just let us know now, outside of the very obvious reasons, like this is why he values that type of experience, because to him, it allows him to trust that he can delegate to these guys and that they're going to know what to do. And that's invaluable, being able to trust.
Because he can focus on things like offense
exactly.
a little more,
So I'm just throwing that out there because, again, Zimmer, got the job for a variety of reasons.
That's one
right?
of them.
And McCarthy didn't say anything new as far as like the whole 2 coaches buckets as far as internal and external, because we knew that already, right? We talked about the whole dirty thing and everything else. So, like I said, it ended up working out in this direction. But it sounds like Zimmer is going to have a similar Dan Quinn-ish role as far as like he's going to be pretty autonomous there running that defense, right? McCarthy's obviously still involved, but whatever Zimmer wants to do,
it's going to be in his hands.
Sounds like he's going to be able to do it for the most part.
Now we know. Do we not know, baby?
We might know. We might know.
Well, do we know that Mike Zimmer is looked upon as a fucking asshole? We've heard Darren Woodson. We've heard Darren Woodson say this. We've heard former player Harrison Smith say this.
Basically, like, he's tough, but he's fair, and all that.
Stephon Gilmore kind of. Well, he actually said it about Bill Belichick, but we've heard a lot of players talk about Zimmer and how he's a hard-nosed, tough ass, gets in your face kind of coach, right? So, He also was asked the question, we have a couple comments from him here about him basically reflecting on being hard. Like, is he being too hard on players? He was reflecting on this, but it's something that he said today, baby. He said it's a style that he is still proud to hold on to. That hard-headed asshole coach.
He likes being an asshole?
Going into not last year or before, going into this year. In 2024, this is something that he is proud to be known as a tough coach. And he says it's impacted guys like Pac-Man Jones, Xavier Rhodes during their careers. And he said how both those guys have showed him love back during their time while with Zimmer. It's also an approach he's looking forward to and taking into the locker room here in the next coming weeks, in the Cowboy locker room, and get the most out of his next project, which is now in Dallas with the Cowboys. So he seems like he's ready to take this, listen, we know that Dan Quinn was a great players coach, but he was not like a, get in your face, get this shit done. I don't know how it's going to work with these prima donnas, some of these players. But some of these guys will respond and need this. That's what Zimmer's going to bring at the very least. So what did he say about his reputation, about him being an asshole? What did he say, baby?
Yeah, this is funny. He said there's a reputation out there that I'm a jerk or something like that. It is what it is, I guess. But, since it was announced I was going to be here, I've heard from so many players that played for me, players here, and not just defensive backs, the linebackers and defensive linemen have texted me and said how happy they were for me. I think if I was such a jerk, I wouldn't be hearing from those guys.
The one guy that he didn't hear from was Sheriff Floyd, who said, I'm out of here because of that injury situation. There was an issue there.
You can't win them all, right? So, anyway, kind of adding in there what Zimmer said, I've been doing this for a long time, so I'm excited to try and to get to where I can try to help players be better, and teams to be better, and groups to be better. That's what I try to do. I did a lot of reflection on my time in Minnesota in the 8 years, things I felt like we did good, and the things that I felt like I didn't do as good. Trying to figure out how I can be a better coach in the future.
I mean, again, he's at least self-aware of what people are saying, and again, maybe he is doing, I think most of the time coaches that are like hard-nosed and still are in the league, that's because even though some players might not like them or appreciate, they do know he pushes most players to a positive direction, exactly. And it obviously works. So we'll basically we can, kind of phase out the snowflakes, phase out the guys that are worried about just money. You can make money. You go out for making money. That's your job. I understand. But more than that, if you're more than just about making money, he will filter you out. And I think that's one good thing, another good thing that Zimmer brings to the table. So, just an interesting little insight there on that. Now, I'll say this. Another thing that Zimmer spoke about, communication. Okay? Ooh, communication.
Woo!
Speaking of communication, we're going to communicate that Marco Sepien dropping another one. In fact, another 5 on it. What a $5 holler from the man, Marco. What did he have to say?
When he and Jerry Jones speak, I want to puke. What the fuck is he going to say? He's average? I wish we could do better, but will he? But he will do? I'd date a gender-neutral person if he'd shut up.
Listen, I don't know. When I agree, Jerry Jones is going to say what we want to hear. McCarthy's going to say what he has to say. And right now Zimmer's saying what he's planning on doing, right? And kind of how we're walking you through this thing. So, luckily we're not hearing Jerry today. No Jerry Jones today, Mark. So we got you there. By the way, that $5 holler takes Jason to 77 Tyron Smith free agent points right there. And right now, baby, he's literally one back on Jason Renfro and like 5 back on McLovin for second place on the board. Mark is he's coming. He's moving on up like the Jeffersons.
On the door.
Yes, he is. So much love to Mr. Marco Sepien. Now, I do want to say communication is going to be a major part of things. Okay, communication on defense. And let me just explain. It's still a handful of things that have to happen, especially from the staffing perspective, the coaches, the assistants, right? Defensive line coaches. So we got to get that. Those guys he hires have to have good communication with him. They all have to be on the same page, coaching-wise. So the Cowboys have to take a staffing perspective, make those changes, the departures that we've had, bring in new guys. Zimmer was clear to mention that this is among the first things that he is doing and has to happen. And we know he tried to get Andre Patterson from the Giants, but they blocked it. Then he kind of apologized in a way for how boring it was to explain this process of getting new coaches in there. I'm not going to bore you guys with it, but the first thing he said has to happen is the staff has to be assembled and has to come together. He added that once that is done, they can begin to get on the same page with the language, like the coaching language, the terms, the play calls, and that kind of stuff. They get on the same page with the language that they will be using so that the players can then learn this language in question so that, this will happen in the OTAs and even earlier than that, so that in the heat of the moment, meaning in practice, recreating it there, or in actual games, everyone has to and will be communicating the same. And that the overall goal is the overall goal for Zimmer. What he said was effectiveness. You have to be very effective on defense, no matter how you're running it. And he said that will be more effective when you streamline things, meaning get the coaching language out, get the calls and stuff out, get the language out there, know it, learn it inside and out by the coaches themselves, and then teach it to your players on defense so they're all on the same page by the time they get to OTAs, by the time they get to training camp, by the time they get to preseason, regular season, postseason, dare I say Super Bowl? Not yet, I won't say. But I always want that 6 and beyond. So anyways, the thing is, a lot of this conversation happened in this interview today, the press conference with him. Zimmer has been out of the NFL for some time. So he did mention that he spent some of that time reflecting on things that he did well, or some things that he could have improved. And again, this reminds me of
it
reminds me of the McCarthy kind of side of things. In fact, if you go back, McCarthy was out of the league for a season before becoming the Cowboys head coach. Supposedly that did him well because he did have some changes. He got us to 12-5 3 years out of 4, 3 years in a row. But he's not the guy to get us ready in the playoffs. Mike McCarthy, it seems. So anyways, that's the communication on defense is going to be major, and that starts with the assistant coaches.
Yep.
Then it goes to the play calling language, and then implementing that and teaching it to the players. So this is all his process of doing things. Now, he did make a quick comment about this team being good and becoming the Cowboy defensive coordinator. What did he say about this team? Right now we are a good team, offense, defensively as a whole. What did he say?
They've won 12 games in 3 straight years. They're on the cusp. I'm just hoping that I can help a little bit and we can get the players better. That's the number one goal. I didn't come here to be average this year.
Thank you. Well, let's hope that's the case here with Zimmer as he gets back on his feet in the NFL. Hopefully, he has to show something good here or he might be in limbo for the rest of his career.
Yeah.
He's got to show something here, and I think he's got a good chance here because, again, he knows this team is good, and he knows the Cowboys are already very good on defense. Without saying, the Cowboys have already a high level of success on defense, and it's shown over the last 3 seasons. Much of the credit has to be given to the departed Dan Quinn, who went to the Commanders, obviously, right? But it is worth repeating that Dan Quinn arrived when, Micah Parsons arrived.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens there. No disrespect to Quinn, but obviously Quinn's a great coach in some ways. Micah's a different kind of player. So let's see what Zimmer can do with this generational type, Micah Parsons type player. Zimmer did note while he and Mike McCarthy have discussed things that they feel could be done differently with the Cowboy defense. They both talked about it. So McCarthy's involved on defense, but they've talked about this, right? They're not just going to throw out, who and what they have been for some time already. So it's going to be similar stuff going to be implemented in the Zimmer scheme. And again, the exact verbiage, the exact language that's going to be used, like I said, the Cowboys are not going to reinvent the wheel. Similar to what happened when Kellen Moore left. Right? And, he was fired or whatever, he was gone. Mike McCarthy was still using some of the same verbiage and the same stuff that Kellen Moore used. So you're going to be using some of the same verbiage for these players, and the coaches are going to adapt that stuff and then, learn it and then reteach it the way they need to do it. So they're not going to reinvent the wheel when it comes to the language on defense, which makes sense, okay? Given that these last 3 years have been fantastic, whatever language we've been using. But obviously there's some things that have to be tweaked and changed under this man here, Mike Zimmer. And he did make a mention of things ultimately coming down to the players learning, and that while he and McCarthy could be the smartest guys in the world, if the players cannot do what they're asking them to do, then the players might not actually be, quote, that smart, end quote. So again, he's literally calling out our players here that some of them maybe cannot handle his schemes and his complexity of his schemes. So he's saying some of these guys maybe are just not smart on our team. Possibly. He's, again, raising eyebrows, at least a kick in the ass that we needed.
I've never worked anywhere that was only full of smart people. There's always some dumb people. Whether you like it or not, you got to find a way.
Well, you got to weed them out, right?
To
either get with it, learn, or get out. That's a Jimmy Johnson kind of thought process.
When it comes to football, that is hard to do.
Well, he said this, quote, competitiveness, being technique-oriented, being fundamental, and being disciplined. Disciplined, guy, that's an important word there. He said, quote, those are the kinds of things that will get me grouchy, end quote. And when he gets grouchy, we've heard him. You've seen some of the shorts, some of the clips. You hear the players, former players and coaches of Parcells, Marcus Spears, Woodson. They've said it. This guy, he gets grouchy. And you will hear him get pissy, get in your face, and will not let up. So the point here is, I like it. And he just said it. If you're not competitive, if you're not technique-oriented, if you're not fundamental, if you're not disciplined, those are the things that he will not stand for. Which, if you go back and look at what we were missing this year, maybe, I mean, we had how many penalties on defense, leading the league in penalties on defense? That's undisciplined. We didn't have some fundamentals down. Technique-oriented stuff, we're pretty good in the coverage stuff because you got Al Harris helping out back there. But, competitiveness, he wants to see everybody be competitive, the full-time practice or not. So the word discipline came up multiple times throughout this press conference. Discipline, discipline, discipline. on defense, and he prides his coaching style is on discipline. That. Yes. So among one of the key issues that may have seemed to the Cowboys pretty much have been obvious since the years in Dallas is especially on defense, is the lack of fucking discipline. Time and time again, we've seen this group of defensive players, whoever they may be, Micah's at fault sometimes too, getting called for some dumb penalties, pre-snap penalties, not the referees cheating, it's obvious it's us, and unbelievable dumb penalties that we shoot ourselves in the foot with. Easy things like offsides by the defense. Zimmer appears very, very well intent and focused on getting rid of that bullshit. So at the very least, we'll be more of an efficient. Efficient is very important. Disciplined and efficient is what we're going to see, or that's what he's going to try to teach this year with the Cowboys in 2024. And these, again, a violation of discipline for him is what makes him grouchy. And when he gets grouchy, he's going to offend some people on this team. We're going to weed out the pussies and the snowflakes. Let me just put it that way. You know what I mean? So, wrapping up his press conference, listen to this. I would say the end of this was interesting. The best moments, I guess, that came at the end from a few questions here from Syed Youssef, one of the media guys in there. He said, basically, it came out that Mike's phone went off with a potential coach looking for a job. Mike McCarthy's. So, it's like embarrassing this stuff's going on in front of everybody, but then he also debunks the notion that the negotiations were up in the air. So remember, it kind of took a couple of days. We were saying maybe it was some kind of like issue with negotiation on a contract. He said it was never up in the air.
Okay.
So it seemed like it was
last minute contractual stuff, but it was never a matter of, we're not sure. It was just literally little details.
So
little details.
That's how I took that. But here's the final question. I'm going to put up the your guys' favorite two guys. You guys can drop those emojis if you got them. The clown show. Well, here's the reason why. Listen to this. This is kind of how it kind of ended this press conference. Mike Zimmer says negotiations were not intense.
Okay.
The holdup was that he caught a bug. He was a little sick, supposedly, Zimmer. And the Super Bowl was going on, which we know Jerry Jones was in Vegas for that. So basically what he said is that the Cowboys and him, they, quote, slow played it, end quote. That's from Zimmer, saying, we slow played it. So he was a little sick, under the weather. Jerry Jones was in Vegas. Let's just slow play this. And I don't know if you know what that means, but that means to let it drag on for media attention in this case. They're basically admitting they did this for that. And they said how did you feel about the Cowboys kind of slow playing this? And he said, quote, it was no big deal. And then they asked, did you see Rex Ryan's comments? And he said, quote, I see a lot of his comments.
Nah.
End quote. A little smile on his face. So
that's funny.
There you go, guys. That was the press conference in a wrapping that whole thing up there. Any comments in the chat real quick? Any thoughts by you, baby, on all these things? I think we kind of touched on it as we were saying it. But, Mike Zimmer, he's here. Love him or hate him or think he's just all right enough, which I think he's all right enough for us. I think he'll do a keep it at Quinn's level or better. And that's at least a good thing.
So, real quick, Pioneer said, football is a thinking man's sport. It's fucking hard to think while you're being subjected to car crashes every play.
It's a constant moving thing. When I played, I remember it feels like I don't like the movie Last Boy Scout. Was it The Last Boy Scout? No, I don't know. The one with with Al Pacino. I think it might have been. Look, the point is, I didn't like that movie, but a couple of these football movies, they show you what it feels like to be running with the ball or being the quarterback. Everything is constantly moving and shaking, and that's kind of what it feels like. It's not comfortable. It's not a comfortable situation. So yeah, it's really tough to do.
So kind of rolling it back here a little bit here. So how we said Zimmer and McCarthy on one staff should equal a win.
I mean, should be. Yeah, I agree.
Chalk Tom on 1008, much love, saying, we're just going to continue to say Dak needs to do this, that, and the third, while his defense has been porous. Not only, did Mahomes have 15 interceptions in Not only Mahomes had 15 interceptions in the Super Bowl and 18 total turnovers, his run game and defense carried.
Yeah, well, they carried when they needed it, and he took over when he had to.
When needed.
Yeah, so It is true. We needed something more in the run game. We needed something a lot more in that run scheme. Dan Quinn failed us at the end. So we'll see if Zimmer can help. It's a 1-year thing. You know what I mean?
Tokyo said if Zimmer loves discipline, he's going to hate Sam Williams.
When I hear discipline, the first guy that comes to my mind is Sam Williams. We'll see what happens. Maybe there's something that he can help him get better at that.
Let me see here. Clown Show spinning it, you know it. Any given Sunday, agreed, Grimbot, yeah. and that's why we keep playing.
So just finishing it up. Oh, I see. Any given Sunday was that the? That was the one with.
Yes.
With I think not the Last Boy Scout. That was with Bruce Willis and Damon Wayans. It was the other one. The Any Given Sunday with Pacino, and it was by. Who was it? Was it Scorsese? Who did that movie? Anyways, look, the point is, I wanted to give a little background here on Zimmer for a moment, because this is very interesting to me. There was insights on Zimmer's scheme that was written in some publication, and they basically said the other expert with Zimmer, that is why Zimmer is such a mastermind, his name is Cody Alexander. And you're like, who? What? This Cody Alexander guy understands modern defenses as well as anyone you can follow. His take on why Zimmer has been successful against the Shanahan offenses is because he's not averse to running split field coverage, meaning half the field is man, the other half is zone, or switching, whatever you press. They can switch up two sides of the field. So he's not. We've talked about the fact that Zimmer loves doing that. Be very deceptive that way. The players got to know what's going on, though, right? That's why it's very important. So he'll run cover 2, and that helps with those kinds of motions that you see a lot of Shanahan teams have motion constantly. It gives us problems with Quinn, but Zimmer knows how to handle that stuff. Plus, he's much more multiple when it comes to different defenses, multiple packages, has better blitz packages than, let's say, Dan Quinn, right? So in Zimmer's final season in Minnesota, his defense deployed a cover 2 look at the 6th highest rate in the NFL, but very much, most of the time, disguised and multiple packages and personnel out on the field. That's what makes a difference. Cody Alexander actually responded to this on Twitter today. He said, quote, Quinn, he did run a cover 2, but they were mostly hard traps as a changeup to their actual cover 1. Okay. So they really ran cover 1, just kind of hit it.
It's more of an alternative.
Exactly. To the cover 1 that they used it.
Yeah. Not as much of the base.
Yes.
If you want to call it
much less than what you're going to see with Zimmer. But Zimmer also runs a lot of quarters defense. And, again, squat, soft cover 2 concepts. Basically, what that means is he's going to run multiple different schemes on the team, sometimes splitting it up in 2 different sides of the field. So that's a huge difference compared to Quinn. And if the players learn this, it will be a huge upgrade. If they don't, it will look like Mike. To me, it's going to look like Mike Nolan. You got Mike Nolan, Mike McCarthy, now another Mike. Everyone's on the mic here, Mike Zimmer. So we'll see how that goes. Let me stop the show for a minute, because the man, Marco Seppian, in the house, dropping that 5 on it, and I think he just jumped McLovin. I'll have to double check that. What did the man have to say?
No better feeling than sticking a quarterback or plow. Let me see. Yeah, than sticking a quarterback or plow over peeps. I made it a point that I would never go down with only one hit, but these dicks get paid millions. Damn it.
I hear you. As a defensive end, I did play that for a little bit in my younger days. There was no better feeling than to run over your the tackle or tight end and then just blindside the quarterback and kill him. That was a dream. Just the feeling is great. I did that a couple of times, and it was really one of the best feelings of playing football. But yeah, it's hard. I don't care how much you pay someone. You're still gonna go. You can make them $25 billion a year. They're still gonna go down when they get hit blindsided or get hit hard, like that. In the NFL, it's all about speed and strength combination. It's a lot different than when I was a kid, and also I'm assuming Mark as well. So
yeah. So again, thank you, Mark. I appreciate you.
Yeah, let me fix the board here because he just jumped into second place.
Yeah, but Grimbot cracked me up saying, "I hope Choir Boy Dak will step it up." In a lot of ways, I'm sure he'll continue to improve and do better. But if you're hoping he just somehow spontaneously steps up or takes over this team or something like that,
or he's going to look like Aaron Rodgers. That's not going to happen. He's going to be Dak Prescott. The best he's going to look is when he's, you got to hope that the coaching is improving and the players around him, continue to get better. Like CeeDee Lamb, he'll continue to get better and better. But Dak is going to be Dak from here on out. You can listen. If you can win with Joe Flacco a Super Bowl, you can win Dak Prescott. You can win with I forgot who it was, Trent. What was his name? Fucking some scrub quarterback for the Ravens. You can win with him. I forgot his name already. He was an analyst now. You can win with him. You can win with Dak Prescott. That's all I'm going to say. But anyways, when it comes to the defense, and by the way, much love again to Marco Sepien, who jumped Jason Renfro, jumped McLovin, and the overall board is only behind the great Marissa Sparkle in first place. Marco Sepien also taking Jason Renfro to 72 points on the Stream Boss. Marco Sepien's in second place currently on the board. So, just wanted to go back. This Cody Alexander guy who knows about Zimmer schemes and breaks it down. It's just saying that the difference between Quinn, the main difference is the easy ones between Quinn and Zimmer is that Quinn runs a lot of cover one with a little bit of cover two, while Zimmer runs a lot of cover two. But, also quarters and soft cover two concepts with split field, splitting the field in different schemes out there. So multiple defenses, multiple schemes, multiple packages is what you're going to see from Zimmer, as in compared to kind of the same guys and kind of scheming everybody in different ways every play, which what you saw with Quinn. So, look, the last thing I'm going to say about this, I'm glad Mark's still in the house, is this. The one thing the Cowboys have, again, I'm not going to say how much the Cowboys spend on this. We're supposed to be going all in this year, but the Cowboys have shown a kind of a pattern here. By allowing when their first-year defensive coordinator comes in, when he comes in for his first year, his first season, in the last decade, our defensive coordinator that comes in, they're allowed a lot of free agents. So here's what I'm trying to say. Like, basically new guys from other teams, not our own guys.
Okay.
So go back, baby, to, let's say, Dan Quinn. Dan Quinn, he was allowed what? J-Ron Curse, Brett Urban, Terrell Basham, Carlos Watkins, Keanu Neal. Those, I'm not saying all the guys. I'm not saying the offensive guys. I'm talking about the defensive guys.
Okay.
He got 5 defensive guys in his in his first year with the Cowboys in Dan Quinn. How about Mike Nolan in his first year? Okay. Only year he had with us.
True.
He brought in Clinton Dix, Justin March Lillard, Joe Thomas, Maurice Kennedy, Gerald McCoy, Dontari Poe, Alden Smith, Savion Smith, Darryl Worley, Everson Griffin. Most of those guys, they all seem to shit the bed.
Yeah.
But he brought in what? 10 guys in his first year with the Cowboys. Go back to Marinelli. In his first year with the Cowboys, he brought in 8 different guys, free agents from other teams. And then go back to Monty Kiffin, even before him. I'm talking about in the early 2010s. He brought in 10 people in his first year with the Cowboys, free agents from other teams. So we got a lot of guys already in place here. Does that mean we're going to get 4, 5, 6 names from other teams in free agency, not from our own, to come to the Cowboys? Because they let these coaches kind of get their guys in free agency the first couple of years. As you can tell by some of these names, though, they're not names that you are going to see being too it's not wealthy, big time costing names. So to me, it's about going all in. If we're going all in, you cannot get these same names. I don't care if you get 40 people and you get them free agency. Now, we haven't done much free agency recently in the last couple of years. And in Quinn's rookie year, in his first year with us, we got 5, solid guys. It was trying to be utilized in his defense that played pretty much the entire year on our defense. So I'm just saying, I think I want to see him bring in not just his coaching guys. I want to see, him bring in his player guys. You have Daniel, what's his name? Daniel Hunter, who I think is a free agent. He's a guy that gets along with Zimmer. Will he take a lesser pay for 1 year in Dallas to bounce it off? I don't know. He's going to be highly sought after. He'd be a great edge to go in there. Do you want to replace DeMarcus Lawrence with him? That's up to Zimmer, right?
Yeah.
You save $10 million and you use that to get Griffin. You can do that and just replace DeMarcus Lawrence with someone like, not Griffin, replace DeMarcus Lawrence with someone like Daniel Hunter, who's a Pro Bowler just this year. So I'm just trying to say a couple little ideas that comes along with Zimmer. Some of his guys that are still good. Harrison Smith, a couple. I don't know, just some ideas. We got Marco Sepien once again, Ian, dropping that 5 on it, taking Jason Renfro to 67 points. What did Mark have to say as he is now firmly in second place and quickly going up closer to first?
We can, and there's quotes around the can, win with Dak. He's good enough despite being overrated. But remember, Flacco and Dilfer have great defenses. Dak might need too much around him to win.
I think if the Cowboys had an effect, not saying you have to utilize the run game more. If the Cowboys had a better run game effectiveness, I like passing the ball in first. I like that. Yeah. But you have to have a run game effectiveness. And the Cowboys never really did that at all this year. At all, ever. So, without any run game effectiveness, that hurts when you need the run game to kind of come through sometimes. And then, when you look at the other guys around, I think you got the guys around him. I just think it's both sides of the ball. It's the whole entire team. So when Dak is having some struggles, the defense has to pick it up. And you saw them fail in that. And sometimes it failed the other way. When defense was struggling, Dak couldn't pick it up. But a lot of times Dak did. And Dak has brought us back, kept us in games. I'm just trying to say, I think that it's a combination of Dak, but also a combination of so many other things that make a difference in playing better against the tougher teams. And that goes for special teams. It goes for defense. It goes for offense. Whether it's coaching, I think that's a big deal of that. But coaching... You saw much, again, did Dak do this good against the shitty teams in the past as he did this year? He had an MVP-type season against shitty teams. Last year, he didn't have MVP-type season with shitty teams.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, he's getting a little better, even if it's a little bit more. And so in the end, to me, it comes down...
At this point, it's not like the types of improvements you're going to see,
they're gonna be minuscule.
At least on the Dak Prescott. Exactly. it's not like you're going to see him go from,
big
rookie
jumps
year to the way he's playing now.
Right.
That's just not going to happen. So as long as we kind of keep that in the forefront of our mind, we can still appreciate the growth and development that he has had / will hopefully continue to have in the future.
But like you said, it will be slight. It'll be slight improvement. So anyways, the point is, I just think that it is Dak, and it's also everything else around him. It's not just, the guys we have some good talent around him. The offensive line, even though it's supposed to be better than it's shown, it still did enough. I mean, I just think there's some things more coaching schemes and those kind of things that have hurt the entire team more so on offense, on defense, on even special teams sometimes. So mismanagement of things. Is it Zimmer? Zimmer is gonna have to help the defense first. We could worry about Dak Prescott, but I think Zimmer on his own, I think he is going to at least bring something we haven't had. McCarthy is not bringing the toughness. All right? Dan Quinn didn't bring the toughness. Mike Nolan didn't bring the toughness. Kellen Moore definitely didn't bring the toughness. There's been no toughness on this team on the coaching side of things. The Joneses don't bring any toughness. So this is at the very least, family, everyone, Marco Sepien, at the very least, we know this means that there will at least be a little bit of fire in this locker room. You know what? If the players can't take it and we have a horrible season, the players are a bunch of pussies. What can I say? And it is what it is. That's the NFL we're in right now. That's the NFL we're in. They can't take a coach like Mike Zimmer, let's just say, for example. But if they fall in line and they trust in him, it could be a season where we have a solid defense against good or bad teams. And then we'll see if Dak has another MVP type season, and maybe now you see him in the tougher games pull those games out, or we run the ball better, play call wise at the right times, more effectively. Last year we had a third of the season we were playing some fucking high school fucking game planning by McCarthy, and then Dak blew it out the water after that, mostly against bad teams. Nonetheless, I think Dak Prescott is just a cog of the issue, not the bigger problem. And so here's the other thing when it comes to the money for Dak. Dak Prescott is going to get paid a lot of money. 57, 58, 60 million. Is it worth it? No way. But that's going to be our guy. That's the way the Joneses are looking at this. That's the way they locked themselves into the deal. And that's that. He's going to give it. He's going to take less money? No. He's going to get whatever he can probably get. That's my guess. If he takes $1 million less than he can, that'd be surprising to me. So, couple-year extension. We're rolling with Dak. Whether you can complain about Dak, it doesn't matter anymore. I complain about Dak. It doesn't matter anymore. It does not matter. He is a top 10 quarterback, and he gives us a chance to win the Super Bowl if we have the defense coached right, the defense put together right, and we've kind of come close. Far from a cigar. I think that part of things is not on Dak as much as it is McCarthy and not being prepared for the fucking playoffs, which we've seen 3 years in a row with McCarthy at the helm. Not Dak, because Dak sometimes helped us get back in games. The defense was sometimes cracking. Sometimes the defense helped us, and Dak couldn't get us in the game. It's just a combination of all sides fucking over here, screwing up for a lot of different reasons. So if we can just clear up some of these issues, stop the run on defense, can we do that? Can we get some fire in this team a little bit? We do that on defense and on offense. I mean, add a couple pieces, spend a little bit of that money, that all-in money, Jerry Jones. If we do that, we can be back at a 12-5 record, back as a second or first seed in the draft, in the playoffs, and once again, getting Dallas Cowboy fans hyped again for a good chance to make a run. We'll see if we get it done. That's what we can hope for. And we'll see by the season we have next year, this 2024 upcoming season, you'll see by the season we have if we beat only the good teams and get great numbers and stats and say, oh, Dak's the best and the defense is the best against shitty teams, then we know what to probably expect in the playoffs. If we cannot beat the better quality teams in the regular season, and I don't mean crush them, I mean beat them. You might make a mistake, bounce back and win. Look like you did against the Seahawks, against the Niners, let's say. We came back against the Seahawks and pulled it out and won a tough, gritty game. Good. Let's not get blown out by 40 points, 42-10 or whatever it was against the fucking Niners. That's embarrassing. So that's the difference between us this year and hopefully us in this past year and us in this upcoming year. That's what I'm just hoping we see a difference there. And so, I know we can go all in if we wanted to. You restructure Dak and get $25 million. You extend them. You get $35 million back this year. Boom, easy peasy, money, honey. Another $10 million if you extend CeeDee Lamb. That's what you get this year. If you want to cut, and I don't think we will, but if you want to cut Brandon Cooks, well, Brandon Cooks gets you another $8 million. That's right. You want to talk about? You're not re-signing Pollard. It was overspending on him, right? You get extension for Micah Parsons, and it will not affect this year's cap. So we're good there. If you wanted to do that, you can cut the Marcus Lawrence, probably restructure him, but you can cut him and get $10 million. Don't forget Michael Gallup. You can cut him. You get $9 million from him back on the cap this year. You're not going to probably re-sign someone like Jordan Lewis. Special teams-wise, you already got Brandon Aubrey locked in. Or you will, for cheap. Stephon Gilmore, do you bring him back? Do you go spend bigger money? Do you bring back Gilmore, who's got an injury till training camp on that repaired shoulder rotator cuff there? So, again, options, and more options out there for the Cowboys to get money under the cap to be able to pay a $7 million or less deal for Stephon Gilmore to be able to cut LVE and Cooper Rush and get $5 million, boom, right there between those two guys. There's a lot of moves you can make for the Cowboys to open up. Again, even Brandon Cooks and DeMarcus Lawrence, you're opening up another $18 million. But I'm not even including those two guys. I'm including restructures when it comes to DeMarcus Lawrence. You get money back on him. When you do it that other way, you're getting back out of the 18, you're getting back probably 6 to 8 of that. So, okay, now we're going to have, instead of $70 million under the cap or $60 million under the cap, you're $50 million under the cap. You tell me we can't go all in with that, paying for, $5 million in rookies, $5 million to keep for the season. Now you're down to $40 million. $40 million you cannot get some high-quality players along with some other guys, of course. Some of our own guys we're going to get signed back here for minimal. You get Tyron Smith back for another $7. A couple guys for $3 total. You know what I'm saying? Now you're down to $30 million. Let's go get some outside guys. Let's go get some guys for Zimmer. Let's go get some guys to help this offense in whatever way we need, like at running back, possibly, if you want to bring someone in for that. So many things we can do if this team, if this fucking front office, if this bullshit from the Joneses, specifically Jerry Jones, who said all in, but Stephen Jones, he's the one with the pen and paper and signing the checks and making the deals, and he's been very, very conservative and very bad at making negotiations. So fuck you, Stephen Jones. He's running the show, but he didn't say all in, although he's following suit with Dad. Jerry Jones said we're going all in. All in means not signing somebody for $5 million this year instead of last year when we went for somebody for $4 million. That means going all fucking in. You go $8 million, $12 million, and you get some real fucking guys, some real upgrades to the guys we lost that were all right. Upgrade that shit, Jerry. You can don't give me the shit about the pie. That fucking pie is a motherfucking lie. We all know it. We show it. Pie is a lie. You move that money next year. You go all in this year. You move it to the next year, the year after that, the year after that. You might have to take a couple less free agents. You have to do your usual Jerry Jones bullshit. But hey, we got some guys locked up. We'll still have an okay team. It's going to be a down year or two. But at least we went all in, which is what they're claiming they're going to do. I don't believe it. I'll be waiting to see it from these two clowns. Now, us two, we're kind of wrapping this up tonight here on MCF, My Cowboys Family. It was kind of a quickie, but it kind of turned into a much longer discussion. So I appreciate everybody who's dropped in here with us. Rock that your thoughts here in the chat, and of course, who dropped the love from above. And let me shout out those that have done that. Darren Posey back in that Navy Blue crew. Appreciate you. Jason Renfro, who dropped the Cash App post stream last night, but also dropped and took over the stream boss here tonight, and currently has 67 points representing it there. Dwayne Broussard with a DAC drop on here, moving up the board. And Mark Hovsepian, the man from Hawaii. Aloha to you. Appreciate you. 15-week sponsor of the week, record holder, all-time record holder there. He's currently in second place on the overall board. On the overall board, Marissa Sparkle is there. She's currently still a little bit in front of him. Not much. We'll see how that plays out the rest of the week. Of course, Jason Renfro, appreciate him. Don't forget, he is not just a stream boss, but he has the all-time record as the Cash App King. 5 months, 20 weeks. That's an all-time record, folks. So much love to Jason Renfro, who's currently the stream boss. And then I'm going to just shout out the king of the Cash App, McLovin, in the house. Much love to him. He is the king of the Cash App from last week, the winner. He represents it this week every single day. But he's also currently the leader. Not by much, but he's up as the leader in the Cash App side of the board this week. So he may be going back-to-back like our 90s Cowboys. We'll have to wait and see on that. Much love to McLovin. And also, don't forget the gifting board up there. The champion, King JD from DC. Repping in enemy territory. That star of everything. 3 out of 4 weeks. That's domination right there. Will he get that 5 on it? He dropped 10 gifted memberships last week. This week we got skeptical in second place with 2 gifted memberships. Much love. But we have 5 on it from the man, the lunatic, who's currently in the lead there trying to get that crown, that championship from JD from DC. We'll see what happens. I think that's everyone. I shouted everyone out there, shout everybody in the drops for tonight, and I will also, of course, shout out everybody in the chat, like Mike Aldana, Tokyo, Thomas Garrett, Thomas Garrett, the Superior Garrett, Mark Hovsepian, of course, Grimbot, Pioneer, Choctaw Montana 808. We got Raul. Who else? Tokyo. We got SKP Daddy Dak Productions. Prods. Here with us, chilling. Traveling Fools here, a Dolphin fan sneaking in. Yo. Asmodeus, hell yeah. Appreciate you always, man. Everybody, Choctaw Montana, appreciate you, man. Everyone's drops, insights, thoughts. I love it. We can do this. I could truly do this forever. Exactly, Choctaw. Gallup, gone. He's gone. So, again, we can make some room here if we wanted to, right? Pioneer said Gilmore couldn't get it done pre-shoulder injury. So, yes, we got to go a little bit more. You got Legarius Sneed, which I think is a bullshit kind of thing going out there. He's going to get $19 million. We can't afford him. Same thing with Jalen Johnson, who I think is going for, 15? I would love the Cowboys to get him from the Bears. That's probably dreaming. So Gilmore's probably the most the Cowboys will go for at corner. Asmodeus talking to Mr. Montana 808 there. Gallup gone. I agree. Pioneer agrees. Finish cut. Grimbot with the clown face. Raul, I don't believe they're going all in. And I'm with you, Raul. I don't think the Cowboys are going all in. Raul, we're in the same mindset there. The Jones are just blowing smoke up our ass. We've seen it before. Mike Aldana said the clown show will do enough to keep us relevant, but not enough to get us that 6, to get us that Super Bowl. You know. I agree. Yep, they have lost. Raul, Choctaw said, Raul, they have to San Francisco lost. Yeah, well, we have to beat San Francisco. We can't seem to be over them, right? Pioneers had all in. We've been here and that since 96. I'm telling you, we're lifers, and we've been sentenced. Yeah, we got punished for winning Super Bowls in the 90s. Damn it. Montana said, I can go hard like I used to. Yeah, I know. He go harder usually, right? Cleaning the AR while listening. Enjoy. Clean it up, man. Just don't pull what happened today, right? Like that at Chiefs parade. Mark Hovsepian with the $1-2. Holla. The J. Lou 2. He said, JJ and Steve remind me of Biden and Kamala. So sad. Well, it's funny. I relate Jerry Jones much more to Donald Trump. I'm going to just put it that way. I'm just saying. It's just me. I don't know. Stephen Jones kind of like Mike Pence. That's kind of the way I see that. But you see it the other way. You see it on the other side of things. I hear you. When Jerry Jones is a little dopey, yeah, definitely more Biden-ish, right? When he's got that, like his shit don't stink attitude, which is not a very good one, and you think of Trump on that one. So yeah, they're both, two peas in a pod, so to speak. So either way, Mark Hovsepian, you got to go check out After Dark one of these times. MCF After Dark. I don't know if you'll enjoy it all, but we talk about politics. We talk a lot of interesting stuff, a lot of people on panel, a lot of different interesting subjects and discussions that go on. Sometimes it's really tough. Sometimes it's really, really edgy shit. So you got to be, careful. But everyone's welcome, but be aware it might not be your cup of tea. Just letting you know. And that's these streams are one-time only streams. They don't, we delete them right away. There's no rewinding. Like you can rewind here and watch something. If you missed it, that's it. And that's the way we do it there. 3 times a week sometimes? So check it out. That usually starts after My Cowboys Family. That's the late show here on MCF. After our show, an hour later, sometimes we have After Dark. You'll see it pop up. You see you have your notification bell on, so to catch us when we do post. And we only post, and YouTube sends you the notification. Be there or be square. But that's all MCF After Dark. That's a whole different subject. We can get into Biden and Kamala and Trump and Pence over there if you want to talk about that stuff. I know here it's just football today. It's all football. Always football. I hear you, man. I'm not tweaking. I'm good. Shout out to Montana. Let me see here. I can't tell who's on McFad. Oh, MCF After Dark. Well, it's a lot of craziness going on there, Pioneer. That's all. I don't know if you explain it right, but I don't know what's going to happen. Sometimes I'm going there to just listen to music and hang out. Don't even plan to go have a panel. Bring 1 or 2 people up, and then all of a sudden, all hell breaks loose. You just kind of get to know the people after you kind of know them for some time. I know a couple of different groups of people, and then the craziness can happen sometimes when they intermingle. You just never know what happens on MCF After Dark. But again, that's I'm advertising too much. I don't even want to advertise for the channel. I don't have it advertised. I don't care about subscribers or likes. Just jump over there if you want to have fun and talk about something other than football. A little aspect of, again, I hope I don't offend some people out there, but that's why we keep all that stuff off of here. I'll leave it at that. How about that? Either way, guys, Montana After Dark. I'm waiting to see that. I'll be watching that. Chocolate Montana After Dark. So, anyways, guys, appreciate. Oh, he said who, not why. Who are, like the names, who are the people? Yeah, I mean, it's just something you have to kind of get to know, Pioneer. After some time, you will start to catch on, okay, this is that person. That's that person over there. This person likes this one. This one don't like that one. Sometimes that shit changes overnight. I don't even know what's going on. It's crazy. Either way, Guys, had fun tonight. The wife is asleep. She did say she met when I was going through my Zimmer stuff. She went, just say, go Cowboys. So, of course, the wife says, go Cowboys. She got to get up a lot earlier than I do, obviously. So, thank you guys for dropping your knowledge in the chat, dropping the love from above. But it is time to drop out of here for the night. And you know why we do this here on My Cowboys Family each and every night. It's about that navy blue, that silver too, that star over everything. Win, lose, or draw, good, bad, or ugly. Here on this channel, we rep that star over everything here on My Cowboys Family for 6.5 years plus. Never, ever forget the number one thing here, now, and forever. As always, your Cowboys. Let's get that 6 and beyond. Again, guys, thank you for dropping your knowledge in the chat all night long. All night. Appreciate you guys. Cannot have discussions without your guys' thoughts in the chat. So appreciate that. Also, cannot say enough. Humbled by the best fans of all YouTube, dropping the love from above. Marco Seppian with the big drops tonight overall. Jason Renfro with the drop of the night, but taking over the stream boss. Appreciate everybody again on the nightly, on the After Dark streams, which we do. If some people drop love there, we do bring it over here. This is the overall hub, so that's the way we do it. So appreciate you guys out there that are After Darkers and don't care about the football part. Either way, we'll all see each other again, whether it's tonight, somewhere else on another panel, on After Dark, or just right back here tomorrow for a Thursday stream. I know Friday we cannot make it, so we're going to really try hard tomorrow to get on here and do a Cowboy Quickie or something. But if for some reason we don't, we'll see you for sure on Saturday again. Either way, guys, appreciate you all. Do not forget here, as we drop out and clock out for the night, and relock and reload for another show coming up tomorrow or Saturday. Guys, never forget, before we can drop out of here for the night, as the wife always says, we got to drop the beat. Oh, hell yeah. That beat's been dropped. We dropped hopefully a lot of interesting, nuggets of knowledge, info, some updates, and more. Hell yeah. Raul, Asmodeus, game over. Flip, 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 game over. Anyways, guys, thank you again. It's a wrap here at MCF. Another Cowboys chat. Zimmer, look a little freaky right there. Look like a turtle. But hey, Zimmer, he's our defensive coordinator. He will fucking scream into your face until he's freaking orange like Trump. He gets pissed. He gets in your face. This defense got to be ready because Zimmer's going to bring it. You know what I mean? Even McCarthy's not even sure what's going to happen to him next year. If he's gone, will Zimmer be moving into that coaching spot? I kind of hope not, but we'll have to wait and see. Anything can happen. There's a long year to go. Hopefully it ends with the Cowboys raising up that 6 and beyond. Here on MCF, it's about that navy blue, that silver too, that star over everything. Never, ever forget the number one thing right here on My Cowboys Family. Yeah. Much love to everyone in the house watching. Don't forget to hit that like, hit subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so you know we're going live. And, of course, follow us on all social media at My Cowboys Family. The rest of the info is in the description. Appreciate you all, guys. Be safe. Stay safe. Have a great night. We'll see you back here tomorrow. Peace. And never, ever forget, Go Cowboys!